Capability replaced by authorization. A task that used to take 10 minutes now takes 3 approvals, 2 checklists, and a dashboard status you do not control. The cost is not only delay, the broken assumption is that competence still determines what happens next. In modern systems, power is increasingly exercised through permissioning, replacing the question, can you do it, with are you authorized to do it, and quietly redefining responsibility around access rather than outcomes. Let us examine the structure. Permissions are not merely rules, they are a control surface that reallocates risk, blame, and credit. When a system is complex, many teams, many dependencies, leaders face an explicit constraint. They cannot personally verify every action, and they cannot tolerate unlimited variance without incurring cascading failures. So they build gates, roles, tickets, reviews, mandatory fields, stage deployments, approval chains. Those gates create a trade-off. They reduce certain classes of error and make incidents more legible, but they also convert time and judgment into bureaucracy. What used to be an act of capability becomes a sequence of authorizations. The system's promise is safety, the system's cost is friction, and the slow atrophy of local discretion. Notice the incentives. A gatekeeper is rewarded for preventing visible failures more than for enabling invisible successes. Nothing broke is easy to measure. We moved faster without harm is harder to attribute. This measurement problem becomes a proxy. Compliance signals responsibility even when compliance does not produce better results. The dashboard turns into a moral ledger. Green means safe, red means suspect, even when the colors are merely artifacts of what was counted. This produces a feedback loop. As approvals become the accepted proof of diligence, more work is routed through approvals to reduce personal exposure. The more work is routed through approvals, the more the organization experiences delays and ambiguity, which is then interpreted as a need for tighter governance. Power concentrates not because someone announces a takeover, but because the safest career path is to control the choke points. Permissions also rewrite accountability. When an action fails, the system asks, was this allowed, rather than was this wise? If it was allowed, responsibility diffuses into the policy. If it was not allowed, responsibility collapses onto the person who bypassed the gate. Either way, the permission structure becomes the real constitution. Capability still matters, but it matters only after authorization grants the right to apply it. And so restrictions multiply. Each new incident generates a new checkbox. Each new checkbox justifies a new tool. Each new tool generates new notifications, and notifications demand new meetings to interpret them. The failure mode is not malice. It is the accumulation of protective layers that slowly replace judgment with procedure, because procedure is easier to audit than judgment. This is where power becomes intimate. Permissions decide not only what actions happen, but what kinds of attention are rewarded. If the system pays attention to approvals, people learn to attend to approvals. If the system pays attention to status fields, people learn to manage status fields. Over time, meaning shifts. Work becomes the maintenance of legibility to the system. Human values are encoded here. A permission model often claims to value safety, quality, and consistency, and it may deliver them, but it also tends to value control over learning, predictability over initiative, and auditability over craftsmanship. None of these values are automatically wrong. They are choices shaped by constraints and fear of failure. Yet the second-order effect is that responsibility becomes procedural. People become skilled at staying within the allowed surface area, which is not the same as being responsible for outcomes. Pay attention to what disappears. When capability is subordinated to authorization, curiosity becomes risky, improvisation becomes suspicious, and ownership is narrowed to what a role description permits. The person who sees a problem may not be allowed to fix it. The person allowed to fix it may not be close enough to see it. That gap is not merely inefficiency, it is a redistribution of agency. And when agency is redistributed, identity follows. Individuals begin to define themselves by access. Who can click which buttons? Who can approve which requests? Who can unblock which queue? Power becomes a map of permissions rather than a practice of judgment. The system behaves as designed. It trains attention toward the levers it measures, and away from the outcomes it struggles to attribute. Consider a single quiet act of reflection. Name one recurring moment when you knew what should happen next, but the decisive question became who is allowed to do it. Notice what artifact carried the decision. an approval, a role, a checklist, a dashboard field, a meeting invite. Then examine what that artifact protects. Is it protecting users from harm, protecting quality from drift, protecting coordination from chaos, or protecting someone from blame? There is no need to defend or attack the gate in your mind. Simply identify the incentive it serves and the trade-off it imposes. Finally, notice what you paid attention to in that moment, the actual outcome or the evidence of authorization. That difference is where power quietly lives. When capability must ask permission to exist, power has moved into the gates, and the gates become the work.